Hi, today we are going to paint the Twin Sails wine glass. It is going to look something like this. This is the example you'll see online if you'd like to pull that up while you're working. That's on our website at JerseyShorePaintParty.com. And you're going to be receiving a kit with all the colors you need and paint brushes, the large and the small. You'll get a wipe and a couple Q-tips, and I'll show you what they're for a little later. So I'm going to start by opening up this wipe and using it to give the outside of the glass a little cleaning. And I'm just going to hold it like this. You want to have paper towels handy. If you don't, you want to get them. And then I'm going to dry this off with my paper towel. And I have a nice surface for the paint to adhere to. Make sure it's nice and dry. So I'm starting with the top of the glass. This is the bowl, the stem, and the base. So I'm starting on the bowl. And I'm going to be laying the sky down first, which is this lighter blue. And this is going to go about halfway, a little more than halfway down the glass. So it's going to go about that far. So you're going to paint from here up until about here. We're not going to go all the way to the top. So you'll fill the glass with the blue all the way around. Now, when we're doing glasses, we work on the first one and then we go to the second one while the first one's drying, so it has enough time to dry for our next steps. So I'm just doing this quickly. Yours, I'm sure yours will look better than mine. I don't want to keep you too long. So you can see, I'm trying to smooth it out and get my line as best I can. Don't worry about getting it perfectly, because if you want to make the scalloped top, you're going to be using the white to kind of go over that later. And you'll see what I'm talking about later. Okay, so I pretty much got my sky laid in all around the cup. That's my first coat. It's better to do a couple light coats than try to get a whole bunch of paint on, because it'll just keep moving around. Once it's dry, it'll take another coat. So you're going to do your second glass. I'm cleaning my brush. Every time you change color, you want to clean your brush and make sure you've squeezed all the water out of it with your paper towel. Next, I am moving on to my water, and the water will be going right down to where the stem starts. So you're going to go right to the bottom of the bowl there. So I'm going all around. Now you want to watch when you're painting of where you're splattering, because if you notice, I'm splattering all over here. Make sure that your area is covered with plastic or paper. This enamel paint tends to stain, so you want to make sure you're not wearing any fancy clothes. Going around the cup. Okay. Sometimes if you want to get a line, turning the cup works a little better than moving your hand. Okay, turning the glass. Okay, so I've got my water in. I'm rinsing off. And forgot about my dark blue. Making sure I squeeze all the water out. While that's drying, I'm going to work on different areas. So you'll do your second and you're going to come back, and I'm going to do a very light coat of blue on the base. I'm pulling out from the center. almost transparent. I don't want it to be really dark. If you would like it more opaque, you can just do another coat later on. So I'm trying to get this nice and smooth looking, going all the way around. So we suggest you watch the film all the way through once, watch the video all the way through at least once. And then when you're actually doing it, you can stop after each step and move on. So I have my nice light coat on here. I'll let that dry. Want to get it even there. Now using this brush, I'm going to work on the striped part of the stem. Even though it's striped, I'm leaving space between each stripe so that I can put in the decorative dots later, and also so that the colors don't mix together. So to kind of keep it in line, I'm going to start at the middle, which is right here, and this middle is going to be the light blue. And I'm turning the cup. Try to get it, just turning the base to try to get it straight. I'm going to leave that. I'll put another coat on later. Washing out the brush. The next two stripes above and below are this green. And again, I'm leaving space because I'm going to be putting dots here with the tip of my brush later on, the hard end of the brush. So I'm leaving space for those dots. So this one is going about here. And again, light coats and multiple coats. So I have that green going there. And then the green is going above here. Remember to leave enough room. Now this is also when you leave these little gaps between the colors, it will catch the light. If you want to just leave them without putting the dots, you can do that too. Okay, so I have my blue stripe and my green stripes. Washing my brush again. And then the last color is my yellow on my stem. And this is going all the way up here. And it will meet the bottom of the bowl. And you can touch up the, okay, so the yellow's going up here at the base of the bowl. That's going to need another coat. And it's also going down here. I'm leaving those dots. Okay, so I've got my stripes. And of course, when you're doing the two glasses, you'll do the stripes, one here, one on your next glass, etc. We're going to let this glass dry a little bit before we go ahead and do the rest of the work on the top. If you like the way the scallops look on the top, you'll use the white just to kind of breeze little, we call them frown curves because they're going up like a frown. And you're just going all around the edge at the top to give it a little more interest. Finishes the top a little bit. You don't have to do this. Some people do other things to the top. Some people will take the back of the brush and just maybe put some dots around the top instead of the scallops. Okay. You always want to make sure your brush is rinsed and squeezed out, and leave them flat to dry while you're waiting, while you have dry time. You want to make sure they're cleaned out every time that you finish, so that the enamel paint doesn't harden on your brushes. And we're going to let that dry a little bit, and then I will work on the sailboats. Now that I've given the glass some dry time, I'm going to work on the sun and the boats on top of the blue. I will first take the larger brush and make my sun right on top of the blue here. Okay. And you'll need a couple coats for this. So you'll put it up on the blue first, and then onto your second glass. Sometimes it helps if you add a little bit of white to yellow. Give it a little more creamy yellow look. Now, when this dries and I go over it again, we'll get rid of all those lines. This is just the first coat. Okay. Oops. Make that a little rounder. Sometimes it helps to lean on the base. A lot of adjusting happens with circles. That's why you start small. Okay, so I have that done, and I'm going to rinse off because I had a little bit of white in there, and I don't want the white in there for the next step. I just want the yellow. So taking a little bit of yellow, not a lot, and I'm giving some yellow highlights into the sky here. Giving some yellow highlights into the sky, just going around the glass. Then I want to give highlights on the water right under where the sun is. Okay. If you feel like you did too much, you can always put a little blue there. This time I'm using the smaller brush because I want to be able to outline a bit. I'm going to do the sails first, and I'm going to think about it as shapes. I'm going to put my sails, I'm going to put my boats on either side of the sun here. So I'm going to say it's going to go right there, and I'm going to put, I want to give myself enough room for this sail that's going to be on the left side. So I'm just going to bring a line down right into the water, not too far down, and then rest your hand. Everything should be dry, so rest your hand lightly and bring down another line close to it, leaving space. Your space will get smaller as you're filling in, so don't worry if it's too far apart. So you have two lines. I'm going to bring out a line underneath both, so you have like two L's next to each other. Your sail will come up from the bottom of the L and meet the top on both sides. Now you'll be filling that in, and again you'll probably need more than one coat. I'm going to fill that in. If you like a more billowy looking sail, you can make your line a little rounded here. It's up to you what kind of sails you prefer. And also you might want to make one a little higher. So now I'm working on that line again. You see it's getting a little closer together. Okay. Get my white. Now of course I'm painting upside down, but you'll have an easier time of this because you won't have to paint upside down. So I'm going to let that just be my first coat, and then you would be going on to your next sail. Same thing on this side. I'm going to bring the line, make sure I have room for that one sail, so I want to move over, pulling one line up. If you want, you can make the L first, and then I'm pulling the other up fairly close to it, the L. I'll make this one a little billowy up to the top and fill in. So you will do this. You will do this as carefully and as patiently as you can. And yours will look much nicer than mine. I'm gonna let this sail go up a little higher. And get as creative as you want. Maybe you want to put more boats. That's fine. You have a lot of room. So this is basically the front of your glass. Okay. So you'll go on to your next wine glass, paint that, and then come back to your first glass. Now we're going to be putting the boat on the water. And my boat will be right below my sail. I'm using the silver now, and I'm going a little bit further out, and I'm pulling the line to a little bit further beyond the other sail. I'm bringing a line down here, pointing towards the center, and then another line here. Now I'm going to fill that in. You have your boat there. Okay. And you'll need another coat on that. So again, you're going to your next boat. I'm bringing the line from a little further out to a little further out on the other edge. Line down and fill that in. Okay. To let that dry a little bit. I'm going to take a little black and mix it into this silver, just a little tiny bit. You can see how I'm just dipping in and mixing just a little, because I want to get a little bit darker silver, but I don't want to be completely black. So I'm looking for like a medium gray. Then I'm going to just going to give a little of that darker paint, and I'm going to give a little bit of that darker color, dark gray, up the top, so it looks like the boat has actually some depth to it. Okay. Same thing on this one. Going right over that line, just lightly dabbing, so it looks like the boat has an inside to it. Clean our brush. So again, you'll be putting extra coats. You go back and forth until it's covered enough for you. I want to show you how the next coat will be darker on the sun, but yellow is always going to need more than a couple coats. Always let it dry before putting your next coat on, and it'll start building up. Smooth it out. You'll probably need more yellow on your stripes. You're going to touch that up. If your water didn't come all the way down to your first stripe And you can just go ahead and bring it down there. If you want to leave a little gap that'll catch some light, you can do that, or you can go all the way down to your stripe. Okay, just so that is looks finished. And the final thing you'll be doing is the dots that go around your stem. So you're going to use a little brush, dip into the white, take your time with this. You'll be dotting right in those gaps that you made. Take your time. You're going to go all the way around. So you're going to do that for each gap. And then at the bottom, you can use the dots to finish the bottom here. If you want them bigger, if you want to finish the bottom with dots, you're going to go down here. You can make them a little bigger just by moving the end of the brush a little bit in a circle if you want to make them bigger. But you don't have to. And you could make as many designs down here as you like. Some people like to go out to the edge and dab some dots around the edge. Give it a border on the base. That's totally up to you. So you would just continue to go around. Make sure you clean the bottom of your brush off so you don't get it on your hands. Clean your brushes if you're saving them. Make sure they're clean or they'll become stiff. Okay, so that's it. Those are your final steps for your glass. And I want to thank you for purchasing your kit from us and attending our online class. Have a great day and be well.